All right, guys, we're going to kick off. So, my name is John. I am one of the trainers at Reapit. My colleague on the screen today is Alex. So, Alex is actually going to be able to answer any of your questions as I'm going through the webinar. Today's webinar is on vendor reporting. For those that haven't been trained by me before, don't know who I am one of the trainers at Reapit. I actually am a licensed real estate agent myself. I'm still an active auctioneer. I run my own auction business. I run all the training from the point of view of a real estate agent. I actually love this session personally because, as you can see on screen, what we're going to cover today is vendor reporting. We're going to look at logging inquiries. We're going to look at adding private inspections. We're going to look at logging an open for inspection against a contact, against a particular listing that we've got on the market. We're going to look at doing buyer follow-up. We're going to look at making sure we're going in there, following up the clients, putting in the relevant follow-up. And then we're going to look at creating the vendor report and sending it to our vendors. We're also going to discuss the benefit of a vendor report. So, as a lot of you know, having a vendor report in the system and sending a vendor report to our owners during a campaign does go a long way to moving that property on during that campaign. Auction campaign, tender campaign, even a private treaty. As long as we're updating our owners during their campaign, putting in the relevant details, the relevant data, keeping them updated on who's interested, who's not interested, and where their interest level is at when it comes to pricing is a big deal for us during those campaigns. And it does help us, especially when it comes to setting the reserve, when it comes to receiving an offer a little bit less than what their expectations were. They're able to see that, well, the interest has been around that figure. Maybe this is what the property is worth. And it does help us educate our owners and keep them in line during those campaigns. So, guys, so we're gonna kick off now. I'm gonna share my screen as well. So I'm just gonna jump in, change this share, and then share my training system. So my training system works exactly like your systems, of course. So you guys should be able to see on screen right now my training system. What we're gonna do is we're gonna work one of my current available properties. We're gonna go to my available section. So in my pipeline, I'm going to go to my available section. I'm going to scroll down until I get to 78 Blokes Avenue in Bondi, one of my current live listings. So I click on that property. I'm going to go full view. As we know, full view brings up the side panel. Full view, of course, refreshes a contact card and it refreshes a property card. So before we go in to create the vendor report, we want to look at what we need to do at the start to make sure all the details in the vendor report are in there first. All the information is actually in the vendor report that we want to send the vendor and that we've followed up the clients correctly. So there's three things we want to do together today. We want to log an inquiry against this particular property. We want to add a private inspection against the contact, and I want to add a client to an open for inspection. So I know a lot of people on the call, you would do a lot of this stuff, adding an open for inspection attendee via the app. But I also want to show you how to do it in the desktop, just in case you don't have your phone with you or you've decided to take their details down on pen and paper. Even I had a client recently call me, a client was running late. They took the details down on pen and paper, and then they had to come and add the details in on the desktop. So we're going to look at doing those three options. Before I do it directly in the property, I want to show you that you do have other options to log an inquiry in the system against the property. So to do it against the property is this icon here. We can actually go to a contact card and log an inquiry as well. So anywhere you see this icon in a contact card and a property card, it logs the inquiry. But you can also do it up here in the plus icon, just under my name in the top right corner. If I click on that, I have the ability to log an inquiry from here. Doing it from there, I need to select the contact, I need to select the property, and then I need to add the property description, which is, sorry, the description, which in the description is the actual inquiry itself. Personally, the easiest way to do it is to go directly to the property, click on log inquiry. At this stage, all you need to do is select the actual contact. So we've already selected the property. We just need to select the relevant contact. If the client already exists in our system, we just put in a random phone number and let's just go with James. So James already exists in our system. We've got his first name, we've got his surname, we've got his email address, and I'm just going to put a fake, sorry, we've got his phone number, and I'm just going to put a fake email address in there. As I scroll down, tagged automatically going to have the contact class as prospective buyer. The requirements will be set automatically as per this particular property. But what we're going to put in, source, his inquiry came directly from Domain. So he found out about the property from Domain, called me, and I'm logging the inquiry. And in the description, I want to put what his question was. What is his actual inquiry? In this case, is I want to put in the description, okay, we're going in there, price guide. What's the price guide? Question mark, and land size, question mark. And I want to log that, save close, and log that as an inquiry against the property. So I've done that now as an inquiry against the property. It's been logged in there and it's an inquiry against the property at this stage. So that's the first part, logged in as an inquiry. The next thing I want to do is I want to book a private inspection. So if I click on this, go into private inspection, I've got the inspection date. I can select when I want the private inspection to be. So I'm just going to choose tomorrow. From, let's put the inspection to be at 4 p.m. and duration. So we can select the date, the time, and the duration. And I'm going to save. Once you've done that, automatically brings up this side panel here. I can now add another contact to that inspection. So I need to add a contact if they're in our database again. So I put in just random digits. Got a lot of test clients in here. We're going to go with Bill. Bill Briggs. Bill's locked in. Again, automatically has the contact class as prospective buyer. Requirements are set as per the property. Bill actually called me from the signboard. We don't know the interest level as yet. We don't have the comments just yet because he hasn't physically viewed the property. If I'm adding another client to this inspection, I can add another, or I can go close and it will save it and create that inspection for tomorrow. So right now we've logged an inquiry against this property. We've added the private inspection against this property. I'm going to click on the OFI over here. As part of another training, I ran another open home for this property earlier today. I want to add another client to this open for inspection. They came a little bit late and I need to add them to that. So to do that, I just click on add attendees here against the open for inspection. If this was an inspection that's already completed, so past the time, same thing. We just click on add attendee. Sorry. But in this case, we're adding it here. Click on add attendee. Again, if they're an existing contact, we fill it in existing contact. If they're not, I'm just going to put their first name, surname, email, and mobile. Guys, very important. Every time we meet someone physically or anytime we speak to someone face to face or on the phone, we want to grab the bare minimum from them. And that is their first name, their surname, their email, and mobile number. The reason why I say this is because if we've got their mobile number, we have the ability to bulk communicate to them via mobile. If we've got their email address, we've got the ability to send them an e-newsletter via bulk e-newsletters, or we can send them an email directly as well. Having those details in there gives us that ability to go to that next step to market to them for future as well. So we can prospect to them as well. But of course, having their email address, if they're actually interested in the property, we can shoot them a copy of the contract. Having their mobile number gives us the ability to contact them and build that rapport with them. So again, I'm going to add another contact against this open for inspection. And again, just put in the random digits. And we're going to lock in with, who have we used? Let's go with Danny Bateman. Danny's gone through. We've got his details in there. As we scroll down, source, where Danny came from. And source is very important for me. And I'm going to explain to you later on why the source is important. But I like to always ask people where they found out about the property. If they found out from our database, perfect. If they saw an REA or domain before they've reached out to us, perfect. If they're coming to our open home, how'd you find about the property? I was just driving past and saw the signboard. Perfect. In this case, I'm just going to tick REA. And again, am I adding more people to the open or am I closing? I'm just going to go close and it will save. So quickly, what we've just done, team, is we've gone into the property. We've logged an inquiry against the property. We've added a private inspection and tagged the client against that inspection. And we've added the client to one of the open homes that has it out. So if I just click on OFI, which refreshes it, you can see now there's been 3 attendees against that property, not just the 2 that physically came through. We've got 3 that have come through now. Clicking on full view brings up our side panel here. I want to go all the way to where it says inspection and attendees. And then I'm going to click on all viewers. Once I do that, it shows me this little panel here. In filters, we're able to filter through inquiries to see everyone that's inquired on the property since it's been live on the market. We're able to see inspections any, which is both anyone that's inspected via an appointment or inspected via an open home. We're able to see all the offers we currently hold against the property. Anyone that's made an offer shows up here. And of course, all the notes that we've put against the property. But in this case, I'm looking at all activity. This shows me that I've had 22 people either view or inquire on the property since it's been live on the market. From and to has the time period of most of the inspections against this property. So if I'm going to scroll down, I'm going to go to the 14th, which is today, and I'll be able to see that these are the 3 people that we've just added. But of course, I've had other people that have inquired or viewed the property from today onwards. And we're able to filter through date time. So if you want to filter, if you've had a lot of people through a campaign and you want to filter just to do the open home as per the most recent date, you can. So we've got Bill. Bill came through as an inspection. He came through our private inspection. We've got Danny. Danny came through over here and Danny came through the open for inspection. And then of course, I've got James Patterson, which made the inquiry for a price guide and land size. What I want to do is I want to follow them up. As you can probably see with the other 2 contacts, Ben and John, I've actually put the follow-up details in there. And if I click on Ben, you're able to see that I've actually put details in there following him up. Same thing with John. I've gone in there and I put follow-up details. The reason why we do that is we want a little bit of information, pulling through to our vendors. So I'm going to go through and action these. The first one I want to do is our inquiry. So we received that phone call inquiry from James. I've recorded the inquiry, but I haven't recorded what I've done from my end for that inquiry. So our vendors want to know that, okay, we've received the inquiry, but what have you done to that inquiry? So I'm going to come to James. I'm going to click on James. If I haven't actioned this inquiry, I can do it directly from here. Grab his phone number, give him a call. Once I've spoken to James, I then want to put my follow-up in there about what we spoke about. So I'm going to go to the far right, and as you can see here, the blue icon that says quick action, the same line on where it has James's details. I'm going to click that, and I want to add a note. Clicking on add a note, because it was an outbound phone call, I want it to record as an outbound phone call. Also make a note, if you've got it as an outbound phone call and it connected, it will show in the vendor report as that phone icon that you've actually gone out there. And in the headline, it's very important, I put it in the headline. You can put in description as well, but I like to keep the reports as minimal writing as possible, just keeping them short and sweet. But I'll show you the difference between headlines, descriptions, all that fun stuff. In the headline, I'm going to put answered client's inquiry. I have sent them a copy of the contract. They will attend our next open home. So this is my feedback for that inquiry. It's very important we display to vendor. If you want whatever you're putting here in the note to show up in the vendor report, you have to display to vendor. If you don't want it to go in there, if you just put a note against this contact, against the property, just for your reference, so they're a time waster, they're wasting our time, not interested, just a nosy neighbor, whatever, and you don't want it to show up in the vendor report, you don't tick this. But if you want it to be in your vendor report, it's very important to always remember display to vendor, go save. Now that is now recorded there. I also made a note here. He requested a copy of the contract. I have the ability to send James a copy of the contract directly from here. I come back to the quick action and I'll show you what else we can do. We can email a copy of the contract. We can add another inquiry against this contact against James, add an inspection for a future date, email contracts and documents, submit an offer, add another note, and view contact modifications. But over here, we're going to email him a copy of the contract. Because the documents are already selected and attached against the property when we made the property go live, we're able to see them here. So we've got a contract as well as the building a pest report. Once I go next, the great thing about this system is it's automatically pulling through James's email address. It's got our details. As we scroll down, we're able to see that the template is here pulling through. So as I save and proceed, I can see this is the email he's going to receive. Dear James, thank you for your interest in 78 Blokes Avenue in Bondi. Please click on the links below to access the documents you have requested. I've got a building a pest report and I've got a contract there. So I can then send the email and it will go out to James. They will also attend our next open home. Once they do, we'll grab their details and we'll get them through the property and then record that they've also viewed the property. So guys, just to slow it down a little bit and do a quick summary. I've called James regarding his inquiry. I've answered his questions. I've now gone to quick action. I've sent him a copy of the contract and building a pest report. And now I've recorded that as a note in the system that we've spoken to him. So if my owner asks me, oh, well, this client inquired on the property, what feedback have you done? Well, we've actually spoken to him. We've sent him building a pest report and he's mentioned he will attend our next open home. If by the time our next open home rolls over and we haven't spoken to him, well, then I can then go in there and reach out to him and speak to him again. So what I'm going to do is, just in case he doesn't attend the open home this Saturday, I'm going to come back to quick action. See over here how it says add contact task. I'm actually going to add a task against James. Follow up if he doesn't attend 78 Blokes. Assigned to myself because I'm the person that's going to make that task. And then I'm just going to make it as a phone call. And then I'm going to set this task for, let's make it next Monday, just in case he doesn't come through, and then save. So you guys are covering all your bases. You're making sure you're working for your owner, but you're also covering yourself. So if the owner then comes next week and says, well, James didn't come through, what have you done about it? Well, I've actually got a task in place to give him a call and I'll follow him up. So guys, that's the first follow-up we're doing, James. Here's our inquiry. Next follow-up, we've got Danny. Danny actually attended the OFI. Same way we called James, we're going to call Danny. We click on Danny, grab his phone number, give Danny a call. Because Danny's physically viewed the property, I then am going to update his interest and feedback as well. But we're giving him a call. I'm going to come here to the quick action. I'm going to add another note. It's going to be an outbound phone call and connected because I spoke to Danny. Danny loved the property, has requested a copy of the contract, would like to re-inspect with his partner on Friday. Before the next open home, he wants to come back and re-inspect with his partner. Display to vendor. So, love the property, has requested a copy of the contract, would like to re-inspect with his partner on Friday. I'm going to go save. That feedback's now being recorded. I'm now going to come back to the far right. Quick action. He wants a copy of the contract and documents. Same thing like we did before. It's very simple, same process, few clicks. We don't need to run around. We don't need to be attaching stuff. It's already in there for us. We just click the links and it pulls through, confirm, goes out to Danny. So that's gone out, recorded that we've sent him the contract, we sent him the report. He also wants to come back for a private inspection. So I've got the ability to do that here. I'm adding the inspection. He mentioned he wants to come back on Friday, which is the 17th. And let's just say he wants to come through at 11 a.m. Friday, 17th at 11 a.m., half an hour, save, pulling his details across, everything's the same, and then we just close. So when I drop down, I will have another inspection scheduled for him for Friday. Next thing I want to do, for everybody that physically views a property with us, for inquiries, I don't like to add the interest and the price feedback unless you've actually had that conversation with the clients. But ideally, if they haven't physically viewed the property, it's not ideal to get their interest on feedback and if they think it's hot, if they're hot, warm, or cold, because it's hard to tell. So because Danny's viewed the property, I can see that he's hot, and price feedback, well, the guide during the campaign is 20 million. So I'm just going to put his price feedback around 12 million as per the conversation I had with him. Update. So I've got his price feedback in there. He's hot. I tick ongoing interest to all my physical inspections as well. The reason I do that is because with having ongoing interest ticked, when you have ongoing interest tick, you're able to filter to ongoing interest in the vendor report. So if you've got a lot of people that have come through your campaign, so you've had 50 inquiries and 100 inspections, you probably don't want all those inquiries pulling through to the vendor report, especially if they're all very much the same. So you can actually filter to what goes in and what goes out of your actual vendor report. You have the ability to filter in and out of that vendor report. So we've done our follow-up to Danny. Last but not least is Bill. So Bill has come through from the signboard. He came through to the inspection. I'm going to do two things with Bill. I'm going to add a comment here against the inspection itself, and then I'm going to add a note. So I want to show you guys the difference, because I know a lot of agents like to put their follow-up here in the inspection. They don't like to add an extra note. I personally like to add the note because it just shows the owners that we're going above and beyond for them. But in this case, we're going to add a comment here, and we're just going to be like, shown interest, but wants to think about it. Update. I've got that here. I'm now going to call him, grab his phone number, give him a call, and then add another note. Over here, we're just going to be like, outbound call, liked the location, thought the bedrooms were small, but wanted to keep looking at this stage. So we don't want to say he's not interested, but he wants to keep looking at this stage. Displayed a vendor, thought the bedrooms were small. It's very important we add all feedback here. Negative feedback is fine as well. If they think the bedrooms are small, if they prefer another property, if they think whatever, it's fine to have that feedback in there. We want to have all the feedback. Negative feedback is good feedback too for our owners, especially if you've got those owners that their mindset and their expectations on the price of their property is well above where the market is. That's very important. Save. So I've got that in there. In this case, he doesn't actually want a copy of the contract, so we're not going to shoot him a copy of the contract. His interest level is currently, I would say, cold. Price feedback, well, he told me he thinks the property is probably worth 18,500,000 at max. So below our expectations. And I'm still going to tick ongoing interest because I still want him to show up in our vendor report. I still want him to be in the vendor report because he's a physical inspection. All right. Now that I've done all that follow-up, I'm just going to get rid of the dates. Now you can see that everyone that has actually come through and viewed the property is now here. We also are able to filter. So if you want to filter to the clients, if you want to see everyone that's actually hot against this property, if we click on hot and click out, we can see everyone that has the hot interest against this property. If I want to see everyone that's hot, but also has a copy of the contract, I'm able to see them here. If I want to see anyone that's cold, I'm able to see all the cold people that have come through or inquired on the property. Anyone with ongoing interest ticked against them, which is literally all our inspections, will show up here. I also want to note, guys, that I say I tick ongoing interest to inspections, not inquiries. If a client inquires and then views the property, well, they then will pull through here as ongoing interest as well. So they'll show up in the ongoing interest tab as well. Okay. Now that we've done our follow-up, I'm just going to get rid of all this. We've done our follow-up, everything's set. We're now up to date. So after our most recent inspections, after our most recent week, we're sending this to our vendors. Some agents send their vendor reports to their owners every Wednesday. Some do it Monday afternoon, some do it on a Thursday. It doesn't really matter when you do it. I highly suggest as long as you do it once a week. Like once a week, you're updating your owners on a campaign. Even if it's a long-term campaign, even though the property's been on the market for a while, you have the ability to filter through what you send them. But it's very important we're keeping our owners up to date. We're sending them something. And the great thing about this system is it's designed to make our life a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in and create a vendor report now. I've done the hard yards. I followed up the clients. Now I just want to put the report together and send it to my owners. Anyway, we can click here to the active report, or we can click here just at the bottom. Both times it'll bring us here. In the broken red lines, we can update our vendor report. So as you can see here, it's going to have your photo or have your signature, and it'll be presented to your owners here. So it'll be the owner's details here. If I want to change the main image, I can click on here. If I want the pool image to be my main image of the report, I can change that. And that's the main image of my report. As I scroll down, I've got this information here as well, the campaign overview. I don't want 111 days on market showing in my vendor report. So I want to go in there and I want to remove, as you can see here, the 111 days on market. But during this week, I've actually done 250 letterbox jobs. As I scroll down and I save, the days on market is gone, but you can see here, I've got the 250 letterbox jobs. The auction advertised price is here. We've got received 6 inquiries on the property. Any of this stuff that you don't want in your vendor report, you can untick it and remove it from your vendor report. As I scroll down in the feedback, we're able to see the price feedback. So where all the interest levels are falling, how many people have been talking, the percent levels that have been talking above 20,600,000, how many have been talking between this range, how many have been talking below. Everyone that's hot, cold, warm shows up here. So we're able to see everyone that's hot, everyone that's cold, everyone that's warm. We're also able to see the inquiries that we've received. So 36% from REA, 36% from Domain, from people from the newspaper, 23% from the signboard. This is why I ask people where they come from when I get them through the system, when they physically view the property, when I meet them at an open home. Because our vendors, especially if you're an office that runs vendor paid marketing, our vendors are paying big money for marketing. They're paying a lot of thousands of dollars depending on where you are and how much REA and Domain charge you. They're paying thousands of dollars for marketing. They want to see where their marketing's going. And it shows them over here that, well, 36% is coming from REA and another 36% is coming from Domain. That is 74% in total. That's coming, sorry, I think 70, got to do a bit of maths there, but 74, 72%, whatever it is coming directly from REA and Domain. So from those portals that they've spent over $4,000, $5,000 on, we're able to show them the value of their marketing. As we also scroll down, this is where we see our follow-up. So Bill was in inspection, inspected the property. So in the inspection, remember I added for Bill, shown interest but wants to think about it. I also like to add the outbound phone call as well. So Bill was obviously inspection for tomorrow. We've obviously followed it up. Again, you guys won't be doing this until future dates, but for the sake of the training, this is what pulls through. It shows the date and then the inspection, the price feedback. He's called and he's inspected the property once. As we scroll down, James was our inquiry that we added. Price guide, land size. We can also see that I followed them up, answered client's inquiry, send him a copy of the contract. They will attend the next open for inspection. Danny inspected the property, loved the property, has requested a copy. So this is what it looks like if you don't put any information in. Sometimes if you want to, you can. I like to just put inspection and then put follow-up separately because it shows that they've inspected. And most of the time you will do the follow-up a following day and they'll have a different date. Love the property, has requested a copy of the contract, would like to re-inspect with his partner. Contract taken. As you can see here, I forgot to tick contract for the inquiry, so it hasn't recorded here. But once you tick contract, it pulls through. Price feedback and inspections are set here. John inspected the property again. Julia cold inspected the property. I want to show you what it looks like when we receive an offer. Pretty sure. And this is what it looks like when we record an offer. So it puts the price feedback as well as the offer is recorded. Contract taken, inspection, subject to bank val, the offer has pulled through. So all this feedback has pulled through. The details are in correctly. We've done all our follow-up. We're then happy to send it to the owner. But notice how I've still got my inquiries in here. I don't want the inquiries pulling through to the vendor report. So what I want to do is I'm going to scroll back up again till I get to the broken red lines, which then means I can edit what's in my vendor report. I scroll down until I get to this stage here. Activity timeline, total campaign. So right now it's the total campaign. I want to go to ongoing interest only, and then I'm going to save. So now it's the total campaign of everybody that's viewed the property, but only people that have ongoing interest assigned to them. And as we know, I've only got ongoing interest against my inspections. So only my inspections pull through. And I know you guys might receive a lot of inquiries. A lot of the inquiries are the same price guide. Sometimes you've got weird inquiries where clients like, I'm willing to offer this, but I want this, I want that. Sometimes it's stupid inquiries that you don't actually want in your vendor report. You don't put them in there. But I also note as well, if it's a quiet campaign, so you've only had 5 inquiries and 3 inspections, well, then in that case, I do suggest you put your inquiries in the report because sometimes if there's a lot less in there, you want the people in there, but you also want your owner to know, well, there's a reason we haven't had this many inquiries. There might be a reason. And the reason might be we need to update our marketing. And 99% of the time, let's be honest, the reason is we're overpriced. But sometimes we need to fix the marketing. Sometimes we're presenting really badly. We need to fix the presentation. We need to fix our marketing, whatever. But as we know, I've been in real estate for 15 years myself. A lot of people on call have been in real estate for a long time. 9% of the time, it is the pricing. And we use the vendor report to get that pricing in line. A lot of clients also tell me, why do I put price feedback? Price feedback's important because we want the price feedback in there. Because your vendor might have the expectations that his property is worth 25 million, but all the price feedback has been around 18,500,000, 20 million, blah, blah. So when you actually update them during the campaign, and I don't suggest waiting until the week of the auction or the week of the tender to actually tell them that, okay, well, all the interest is here. It's important we update them during the campaign. Hence why I said send the report once a week, because during the campaign, we want to keep them updated on where the price is. If the market is a little bit behind where our expectations are, well, then we need to look at that. We need to take that in consideration. And it's important you don't just send the report, you make that call to the owner. Other things we want to add in the report. So you've got a lot of options here. I personally, when I'm creating the report, I like to keep it as minimal as possible, but you can put intro comments here. You can add internet stats. I'll put a marketing snapshot. You can put positive comments and you can put concerns. Positive comments, great news. We've got 3 people that have inspected the property multiple times, looking good. Concerns, haven't had any serious offers on the property. No one's really interested. Maybe we need to do something. With the concluding comments, so you can notice here at the bottom of the report, it's got summary recommendations. We can actually change that title. And in the concluding comments, you can put whatever you want here. You might even put, I saw it on the weekend last weekend. Please make sure the lawn has been mowed for the auction this Saturday. Please make sure rubbish has been removed from the driveway. Please make sure whatever. This is the concluding comments. We've had 9 groups through the property. Everyone's feedback has been around this. Whatever you want in the concluding comments, you have the ability to add it here. Marketing comments, again, maybe we need to pay for a social boost. Maybe we need to go on domain. Maybe we need to do this. Maybe we need to do that. Platinum on domain. Maybe we need to do a refresher, whatever. You have the ability to speak to them about that. But of course, once you send this, you make the call. Okay. So we've had a look at all the features we've got in the activity report. There is other buttons here that you can click, and I highly suggest testing them on a property. Don't send it out to the owner, but test it. Make sure you look at it, all these different ones. I only like these 3 because I wanted to keep it as nice, as clean, and as presentable. Once you're happy, you're able to preview and see what your owner's going to get. So right now, I'm able to scroll through and see what my vendor's going to get. And in my eyes, that looks really good. I'm happy with it. Next part, I then have the ability to proceed. The great thing about this is it goes out to our vendors as a PDF. So if we wanted to, we can actually print it as a PDF. If you're physically going to meet your vendors in person, you can print it as a PDF, or we have the ability to just add the subject, weekly update. So we're just going to go weekly update, put whatever you want here, throw whatever you want in here. You also have the ability to add documents to the listing. And if you want those documents to be part of this email, you can just click on the little paperclip here and insert any documents that you've uploaded. And that will pull through here as well. Once we're happy, we can then send now, and it goes to our owners. The following week, if I want to see, or if the campaign's over and I want to see all the reports I've sent my owner, I can just click on Active Report and see up here how it says View Previous Reports. I can click and see all the reports I've sent my owner during the campaign. I can download the activity report. I can clone it. So if I've done a layout that I really like, where I've got certain photos and stuff and I want it to look the same, I can clone it. But of course, I can view it as well. So I can print it off, download it as a PDF, take it, print it off. I can clone it, copy it for the following week, change the information, or I can view activity report as well. So I can view it. One more thing I want to show you guys in the activity report as well is something that I did miss was once we go in here, if the property has been on the market for a long time, so it's been on for a long time, you don't want to keep sending old information. You only want to send them stuff that's happened that week. You're able to filter to the period. So over here we go period, within this period only, and then filter to a certain date period that you want the report to have in there. So only certain date, you can filter to that here. And once you save, it will only have the date of certain time frame within that date. Won't go longer than that, won't go further than that. To be fair, this property hasn't had that much information, but it won't go further than that. All right, guys. So I know this is the vendor report, but one other thing that I add in this training is I like to show you what we can do off piggybacking off the back of success as well. So one thing that I like to do is these clients have all come through this campaign during the process. So I've had all activity, 22 groups through. let's pretend I've sold this property now. What I like to do is, and I add to this training session is, these are some of our hottest clients because they're actively looking and they've only recently started looking. So if you look at the dates, these people are fresh. We've sold this property. So what I want to do is I want to update these people and let them know that I've sold this property, but there's a reason why I do that. I'm going to go to e-newsletters. So we're actually sending it in this list. I'm going general. In that list, I'm ticking all the people, but I'm obviously going to remove the buyer. In the subject, I'm going to put just sold and whatever the property address is, save and proceed. Automatically, because we're sending this from the property, it's a feature property. This property is still live, so it's not going to pull through as just sold. But I'm just going to change the feature name to just sold. High property description because I don't like a lot of writing showing up in my vendor report. So there's no writing. The reason why I'm doing this is I'm reaching out to all these people. So thank you for your interest in below property address. This property has now sold. I do have a few other properties on the market that may interest you. I've listed those properties below. Please let me know if you would like to view any of these properties. Save. So what we're doing is we're updating these clients on a property that they've inquired on, letting them know it's sold, but we're going to our current listings, untick all, tick the relevant properties that might suit them. The property they originally like sold, but they might not know that we've actually got other properties that may interest them. So we're going to send them these 4 properties as well as part of this, because as the market turns, you're going to find that there might be a lot more stock on the market. We're going to struggle to move stock. We've got similar properties, and I'm sure you guys have experienced it where you've got 2 properties on the market. They're pretty much similar. One is very easy to move and the other one's just struggling to sell. Sometimes these buyers don't see the other one. So it's important that we piggyback off the back of success for this property to also move and sell the other property as well. So once we do that, we're able to shoot them that e-newsletter like you send the normal e-newsletter. And then, of course, I would put a little bit of follow-up for myself to reach out to these clients and then look at the report that's gone out to the clients and just see who's clicked on it, how many times they've clicked on it, and potentially you might be able to get a sale out of this sale because you guys have obviously spoken to these clients, you build a rapport with them, they sort of know who you are. I like to think you guys have called them during the campaign, updated them on the sale, invited them to the auction, but also you want to have that feeling that, okay, well, I've done the hard yards with these guys. I want them to feel like, okay, well, I didn't just follow them up for this listing. I want them to feel like I'm working with them for future business. And the good thing about that is they will remember that and they'll remember who you are. So even if they don't buy from you directly, if they have a friend that's looking to buy, they'll reach out to you. If they're ever looking to sell in the future, they may reach out to you as well. So you build that rapport with them. And it looks good when the agent goes above and beyond as well. All right, team. So I'm just gonna change the share. So we're just going to, so as we can see here, just changing things. So just a quick recap. We looked at how to log buyers to the data in the desktop via inquiries, a private inspection, and we looked at adding them via an open for inspection that's occurred. We looked at how to do the follow-up. So we've gone in there, we made sure we've done the follow-up and logged the follow-up, which is important, not just call the clients. We've actually put the information in, sent them what we need to send them. And then we created the vendor report and we sent it to our owners for the campaign.